This is that one ASMR dude here again, and today we're gonna play games on my phone. And some added glove sounds as well. I'm gonna be reading a D&D style medieval fantasy RPG choices game book for you guys. This is not like a commercial for this app or anything. I just found this and I think it's pretty neat, and I thought it would make a cool video if I showed you guys an adventure that we could go on. So let's get down to it. So as you can see here, we've got some different options as to what adventure we can pick. The first one is Wizard, and since I already started that, I browsed ahead and found a rogue one we could do. So we could do some sneaky rogue stuff. Alright. So we are in it with 10 life, 6 gold, 0 morale points. Morale I found is basically just like karma. So here we go. Gods, the Duke's men aren't greedy, you think. Hopefully you're done paying bribes for the day. The guards demanded all your money, and then your weapons in return for letting you through the gate. You're glad they didn't discover your hidden coin purse and dagger. At least they can be bought, you think. You understand men like that. Men like that will keep their mouths shut if anyone comes sniffing around for desserts from Lord Wallington's army. The tales you have heard of Ring City are true. It is massive and alive. Street vendors everywhere. Horses and wagons charging through the crowds, shouting, laughing. The smell of horse manure, and worse, fills the air. Despite the stench, you smile when you see the sign for the Green Dragon Inn. The painting of a dragon and letters underneath are so worn they can barely be made out. A drink at last, you think, as you enter the inn. It's only afternoon yet. There are customers scattered about the large hall. The fire is unlit on the hearth, and the air is cool. The barkeep wipes a glass as he watches over a trio of men playing cards at a nearby table. Their skin grimy and their hair unkempt. Men from the silver mines, you think. A serving wench is wearing a stained apron. She walks past the miners, balancing a tray with tall mugs of ale, what looks like hunks of cheese. One of the miners casually swipes her rump, but misses. Oh man, some rowdy people in here. There are several other tables. An attractive pair of richly dressed young women catches your eye. Maybe it's actually the large golden bracelets around the delicate arm of one that catches your attention. The women lean into each other, chatting merrily. There's an unopened bottle of wine and a pair of empty wine glasses between them. Oops. A muscular soldier sits at another table across from a woman with long black hair that matches her billowing cloak. He's not in armor, only a tunic, but a sheathed sword is on the table. From the insignia on his cloak, you know him as one of the Duke's men. The woman might be pretty, but her face is pinched, as though deep in thought. Of course you have been marching with men-at-arms over the last few months. Every woman is calmly. A mangy dog makes the rounds between the table, looking for scraps or a scratch. The soldier looks up at you, a smile lingering on his face. From a conversation, your stomach clenches. What do? We can choose act as though you did not notice him, or nod at him in greeting. I think as a rogue, we should probably try to keep our head down. So let's act as though you did not notice him. We have a morale point for that. You avert your eyes as you allow a slight smile to come across your lips. You wish not to attract his attention, and that also means not appearing to be afraid. Inhaling the aroma of cooking meat, your smile widens as you step confidently into the tavern. You risk a glance back at the soldier. Thankfully, his attention is back to the cloaked woman. They're speaking quietly. You'll probably not even remember me, you think. Let's continue. As you stride further into the inn, you again consider your situation. You're low on gold, and in a city like this one, that's a very bad thing. If you don't want to be sleeping out in the street tonight, going to need to make some coin. Far worse than sleeping in the gutter, however, is missing your payment. 10 gold pieces by sundown tonight, or I may as well slit my own throat, you think. 10 gold by sundown tonight, and another payment every new moon until your debt is paid. That was the arrangement with House Vrudahir, I think that's how that's pronounced. Not that you had a choice. There's no way to make that kind of coin in the next few hours in any honest way. You walk up to the table of miners. May I join you? One of the miners, a blond man with gray in his beard, looks up at you. Of course, boy. And bring your mother so she can sit on my lap as you suckle her teat. Oh my gosh. One of the other three laughs, his filthy beard dropping crumbs onto the table. The third miner just stares at his cards, his eyes half glazed, seemingly oblivious. This game of cards may require an upfront investment. You could buy them a round of drinks to buy in at the table while increasing your opponent's intoxication, or you could simply ask to join them. What do you do? I think it would be a very cunning action to buy them a round of gold and invest in this just a little bit. Plus, if we get them drunk, maybe they could let their guard down just a bit. So let's buy them a round for 1 gold. What kind of drink will you buy? They're drinking ale right now. You could give them another round, or you could spend a little more and buy a round of the harder stuff. Which do you do? I think if these characters like ale, we should get them something that they like. So let's buy them ale for 1 gold and skip out on the harder stuff for 2 gold. Now we lost 1 gold there. Another round for these men, you shout at the barkeep, perhaps with a bit more bravado than you intended. The barkeep nods and taps the top of the bar with his finger. You stride over and slap a coin down. The barkeep smiles, a gapped and broken smile. He has a large scar down his throat. At least the little lamb has manners, says the blonde miner with a chuckle. Good, slurs the glassy-eyed miner. I had enough paying for my own watered-down piss they call ale round here. Respect for elders, a rare thing, says the blonde miner. Have a seat. We're ready to deal again. You take your seat. These 3 are already pretty well drunk, and a steady stream of ale will hopefully keep them this way. I may not even have to cheat, you think. You sip your mead slowly. Nevertheless, you start to feel your thoughts begin to thicken as you're so-called accidentally spill the remainder of your drink across the table. The glassy-eyed miner does not notice, but the other 2 curse at you as they pull their cards from the table. Young and clumsy, says the blonde miner, whom you now know as Lendar, pointing at your overturned mug. He slurs, Respect every drop. So it looks like I've offended this man by spilling my drink accidentally. These men aren't quite as drunk as you initially thought. Nevertheless, they are relaxed enough to make them easy to read. Lendar taps his finger on the table when he has a good hand. Bent hums softly to himself when he has a strong hand. Tearaway, the glassy-eyed one, and certainly the drunkest of the trio, turns out to be the hardest to read. His expression never changes, no doubt, because he is about to pass out. Aside from the drinks you've been ordering, bread and cheese for yourself to soak up the alcohol and keep your head clear. The barkeep and the serving wench seem pleased that someone is ordering food for a change. The barkeep keeps close to your table more often than the others, watching his gapped teeth. Evidently, you are the big spender in the room. You have done well so far, but it occurs to you that you could probably take quite a bit more with the aid of some sleight of hand. You have a high card that stays tucked in your sleeve. When you were in your lord's army, you would use the card for tricks. something to while away time and entertain. However, when the mark is easy, what do you do? Do we play straight, or do we cheat for a little while? I think we should cheat for a little while and see what happens. It looks like we got more gold. We got 9 more gold. You play straight when you're confident you'll win a hand, but when the odds seem closer to even, you definitely swap a card for your higher card. As fast as you are with your hands making the switch, it really comes down to the distraction. One time, you pound the table at a joke. Another time, you make a show of feeding a hunk of cheese to the barkeep's dog named Griffin. Another time, you suggestively stroke the serving wench's arm as she is taking your order at your table. This earns your hand a sharp slap from her and guffaws from the miners. You let a few of the low-stakes hands go, but for the most part, you clean up. So it looks like we are doing good. Let us continue. We got an achievement. Should have worked. Wow, that should have worked. But then it didn't. Occasionally, that's just how it goes. Am I right? Oh, we got an achievement because we lost money. That's not the kind of achievement that I wanted. Tyches, the god of luck, favors you this morn, says the serving wench, as she takes a mug of ale off her tray and sets it in front of you. I hope you be sharing a bit o' your spoils with your hard-working servants. She smiles sweetly and points back at the barkeep. Of course, you say, taking a moment to raise your eyebrows at the miners. You turn back to her and slip a gold coin into her hand. I'll be happy to provide you with even more compensation once your evening here is through. You give her an appreciative once-over. A few chuckles from the miners. She smiles and leans down, her bosom nearly brushing the table. Her ruby lips are near your ear, and a delightful shiver goes up your spine. We see you cheat, she whispers. You'll be giving us all your ill-gotten gains, or... She draws away, and now you notice the hardness of her eyes that are over that inviting smile. Fool I am, you think. It was easy enough to deceive the drunk miners, but you forgot what attention you were getting from the inn staff. If they reveal me... You force a bright smile at the mustached miners, and then up at Emmeline. She continues standing there until you realize she wants the money now. You wish she were more discreet about blackmailing you, but you'll be in even more danger if you risk her brazen tongue by arguing. You pinch her cheek a touch too hard as you say, the wheel of fate has treated me well, but now it turns for you and your master. As you slide your pile of coins toward her, Emmeline's ruby smile grows huge, revealing a few chipped teeth and one that is crooked. She puts her tray under the lip of the table, and you push the coins onto it with a jingling clatter. Linda spits ale. Neville's tongue, boy. What did that woman promise with her whispered words? You stand up. The abbess' reply would be to claim that she'll be granting her favors later, but you don't want to provoke her, so you straighten your spine and announce in a voice meant for the entire inn, "Can a man not be generous? What are a few dozen gold coins? Besides the infinite multiverse, anyway. Not everything is an exchange. Sometimes a gift is only a gift." Like when the god Pentelin gave the goddess Alathea the gift of squealing quails at the mountain of "Hear, hear," shouts Brahm, the barkeep, cutting off your speech. You were just beginning to enjoy. He raises a mug from behind the bar. Here's to generosity and quitting before your luck has leaked out. Huzzah, you shout with several others. You drain your mug and slam it down on the table. Men, I have done what good I can here. Best I have leave now before I take all your silver. The miners jeer at you, obviously disappointed that the pup is walking away after distributing the hard-earned coin to the inn staff. It would have gone to the inn anyhow, but the miners didn't have the drink to show for it now. Evidently, neither Emmeline nor the barkeep noticed you pocketing some of your coins as you drank and played the cards. They got most of your coin, but not all. We have 7 left, so we still have time to get more. And In this game, you can watch advertisement videos for coins, and since I'm strapped, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the part where I sell out and watch videos for a little bit. The inn patrons have changed since you pulled up a seat for the card game. There's a pair of dwarves up at the bar now. Judging by their grubby skin, they're also employed by the local silver mining guild. You take note that they're ignoring the human miners. You're not surprised. Dwarves and humans get along well enough, but dwarves are never exactly friendly in your experience. And they are known to be suspicious of strangers. Nevertheless, they might make a rich mark. Dwarves love gold. The two pretty women are still at the table. They're laughing more freely now, and the motions of their hands as they talk are more relaxed. You notice wedding bands on both of them. The wine is low in the bottle between them. You could talk to them. You might even be able to pick a pocket if an opportunity presents itself. The cloaked woman is still at the other table, but thankfully the soldier in the tunic is gone. Her long black hair covers much of her face, but you can see her scowling lips pointed down at the table. You wonder if she's still nursing that same glass of ale. Maybe you shouldn't risk her, but there are a lot of pockets in that cloak. She might have something valuable in all those folds. She is not a mark for me, you think. She was in the company of one of the Duke's soldiers, and besides, you haven't been in this city long enough to know yet who is safe to steal from. You'll need more than gold to make it in the city. You'll need knowledge, too. You decide to start with the dwarves, if nothing else. Dwarves live a very long time, so this pair might know a thing or two about the city and surroundings if they'll speak to you. So let's see what we can find out from the dwarves. You're a pace away from the dwarf nearest to you, turns and narrows his large eyes at you. "And what would you be wantin'?" he says in a loud, gruff voice. "Suspicious creatures, you think. It's like he can smell your intention." You stammer, "was just going to offer to buy you a mug." His beard twitches. "For what?" he shouts. "Because I'm so pretty?" "Ha!" shouts the other dwarf, slapping the bar. "Every time. The nose hair charms them." "Oh, never mind then," you say. "No," says the first dwarf. "By all means, you may buy me a drink. By Bondor's belt, you can buy this one." He raises his mug. "I already paid the man, so you may pay me now." "You want me to pay you a coin?" "Is that not the same thing as the end of it all?" he asks. His beard is twitching rhythmically. You wonder if this is some sort of silent dwarven laugh. "It is just, I am new in this city." "Oh, that is plain," says the dwarf, cutting you off. "Ha!" shouts the other dwarf, again, slapping the table. "I'd like to speak with some men, dwarves of wisdom," you say. "A conversation." "Oh, well, if a young human wants to chat our ear off, only the top-barrel slog will do," says the dwarf. "Only the best ale will make listening to that bearable," agrees the other dwarf. The barkeep approaches. "What will it be?" "Greedy dwarves, you think. They want you to buy the best ale in the house. What do you do?" I say if they're suspicious of strangers, maybe the best thing to do is go for the good stuff. The barkeep smiles his broken teeth when you tell him your order. The dwarves bow and introduce themselves as Thulmer, the more talkative and abusive of the pair, and Huram. Both beards shake rhythmically as the mugs are placed before them. "So what is this that you want to know?" asks Thulmer. He closes his eyes as he sips from his mug. "I am new to the city," you say. "What advice do you have for me?" "A man who pays for advice," says Thulmer. "Not the worst sort of human, I suppose." "Not the worst sort, not by any length," rejoins Huram. "Let us start with the city's name," says Thulmer. "Do you know why they call it Ring City?" "Because the circular walls, one inside the other, like rings of a tree stump," you say. "Right," says Thulmer. 3 rings of walls that make 3 very different parts of the city. The inner ring was the first wall built, back when it was only a town, called Hell's Gates back then," says Hyoram. "It was well named." always under threat by the brutal giants of Landis who lived in the nearby mountains, says Thulmer. You can understand why the humans needed a high wall. Anyway, as the city grew, a new wall eventually had to be built to contain her people. 3 walls so far, and there will be more in the centuries to come. If we keep finding silver, she will grow, says Hioram. This point is not the history lesson. The point is that those rings, the outer, the middle, and the inner, make up very different, what do you humans call it? Social strata, says Hioram. Sure, well, different neighborhoods, says Thulmer. The inner ring, at the center of the city, is for the Duke, the nobility, and their servants. Where we are now is the middle ring, where all the well-to-do commoners live. Begs the question, how you got in here, says Hioram. One does not just walk through the wall gates, Hioram and I, and even those filthy miners you were playing cards with, are all a bit more than mere miners within the guild. We dwarves are specialists. We tell them where to dig, and those men you are playing cards with to supervise other men. Believe it or not, says Thulmer, his eyebrows raised at you. I thought I was paying for advice, not answers about my business, you say. Thulmer's beard shakes rhythmically. Laughing? This all circles around my main ingot of advice, says Thulmer. Do you know what that is? You shake your head. Do not get yourself killed. He sips from his mug and stares at you. After many seconds of this, you say, would it please you to be a trifle more specific? The rings, for starters. As I said, the inner ring is for nobility. You better be high-born or have legitimate business with them to be walking around in there. Or they stick your head on a pike along the wall, says Hioram. The wall of the outer ring, mind you, says Thulmer. The stench will not do for the nobles, which brings me to the outer ring. This is where most humans in this city live, and it's not the sort of place for a stranger with no friends to stay. Cut your throat for a copper, says Hioram. And do not think you're ever safe in the middle ring either, says Thulmer. Take those 2, for instance, he says, pointing at the table of the 2 young women at the table. Do not be trying to get in those petticoats, or your severed head will be on the wall by sunset. They're wed to men who think they are important, but more important than other men think them important. Very well, I will not speak to them, you say. I did not say that. I said do not try to get their petticoats. More to the point, do not succeed. Success is straight out, says Hioram. Have others, succeeded? How should I know, says Thulmer. Well then, how would you know that Bandor's sake, I've lived around your people longer than you, Thulmer scolds. I know how humans are. You fight and die over the tall, skinny ones, says Hioram. Ha! Nonsense. He slaps the table. Oh, but that pair likes to talk, says Thulmer, and they enjoy a compliment or two. That red one likes to hear herself sing. I saw a boy. Might have been a girl. Who can tell? I saw a boy tell her she had a fine voice, and she kissed him on the cheek. Boy got a look that was stupid as an iron ingot. Happy, I suppose. Ha! Humans always look as stupid as an ingot, says Hioram. The 2 dwarves clink mugs and drink deep. And there's another one to beware, says Thulmer, wiping his mouth, and then pointing at the lone woman in the dark cloak. That one is always looking for fools to go with her on some fool errand or another. Wants to strike rich, not by digging in the ground as an honest dwarf would, you see. No, she wants to slay monsters for the Duke, or some other dangerous foolishness, you can be sure. She's an adventurer, you ask? Is that what you humans call them? Asks Thulmer. To us, it is plain what they are. Fools. The 2 dwarfs clink mugs and drink deep. Us dwarves are short in stature, but long in life, says Thalmer, taking another drink. Humans, on the other hand, tall in stature and short in life, much more suited to perishing on some fool quest. Oh, there's Kitty. Oh my gosh, no. Kitty, go away. Alright, here. Ha, your arm slaps the table. You will be dead soon anyway. You know that the dwarves can be bloodthirsty and reckless as any human, particularly when gold is at stake. The High Mountain Wars are a fine example. You could call the dwarves on this, or let it slide. Let's call them on it. So it looks as if that decision has cost us a morale point. I have heard the tale of the High Mountain Wars. The dwarves spilled blood for their king, you say. Not for a king, for family, says Thalmer. It was for gold, you say flatly. It was sparked by a small mining claim dispute. A war that lasted a century, I seem to recall. It was for honor, shouts Thalmer. What does a child like you know about a war long past? It is a tale well known, you say. Enough, says Thalmer. Go back to your kind. He nods toward the miners. The blonde one is looking up from his card, grinning at you. Fool indeed, you think. Fool to speak of politics with a stranger. You catch the eye of one of the young women who have been seated since you came in. The redhead focuses on the one across from her. But you figure there's no harm in being friendly on your first day in town. Probably. How do you approach them? Of course, you could just introduce yourself. But they are in the middle of a conversation, and you need something to interject with. You could make up an excuse based on the fact that you are new to the city. Maybe they know a good butcher? No, that's not the sort of question for a pair of richly dressed and bejeweled women. You have recommendations for good theater? You have snuck into a few plays in your younger year, and you found them enjoyable. Alternatively, you could pay one of them a compliment. Maybe let's try paying them a compliment. A few options come to mind for a compliment. Both women are pretty, but you do not wish to give a generic compliment. Better to focus on one thing. The redhead has a lovely voice that carries through the room and is like music. The brunette has a dazzling blue dress. She probably paid a fortune for it. Maybe let's compliment the redhead's voice, because the dwarf said that she loved to hear herself sing. Suave, what a smooth operator you are. Okay, I guess we're a smooth operator. I guess we're doing good. Oh, and some of the things have pictures here too. The women are seated at a table on a raised platform, perhaps normally used as a stage for musicians. Although you are normally comfortable with speaking to women, you can't help but feel a twinge of intimidation as you approach them from below. Apologies for my intruding, my ladies, you say as you step onto the platform. You now have their attention. But you have a voice that is pure music. You nod toward the redhead and widen your eyes to show your wonder. A huge smile lights up her face. I can only imagine what it's like when you sing, you continue. You could stop a charging gorgon with a voice like that. Thank you, kind sir, she says, her beautiful voice rising into an ecstatic squeak. The brunette is scowling, but she quickly adopts a forced smile as her companion looks over at her. You don't want the brunette against you, so you quickly say, and you, that dress is a wonder. You obviously have an eye for beauty. The corners of her fake smile hitch up slightly. Look at you, stranger, she says, not mollified enough, breathing flattery like a dragon breathes fire. The redhead clears her throat. Yes, she says, clearly projecting her voice now. What business brings you to the middle ring? I was hoping to find some entertainment. In truth, I would enjoy a good play, and you look like the sort who would be able to tell me where I might find a theater in this fine city. You pause and then add, I only spoke the truth about your impressions upon me. I hope I did not offend. The redhead smiles and waves a hand. There are 2 theaters in the middle ring, the Bard's Tale and the Dog's Snout. If you like the classics, then Bard's Tale. If you want comedy, well, then you have the other. What is your favorite play, stranger? Asks the brunette with an easier smile. You could be honest and tell her that you do not have one yet, but you wish to. Another option would be to lie. You have heard that there is a new play out called Drala's Vengeance that is gathering critical acclaim throughout the kingdom. That women might be impressed by a man of culture. Should we be honest or should we lie? I think we should be honest and tell them we do not have a favorite yet. I have not a favorite yet, but I look forward to selecting one. Realizing inexperience makes you appear naive and trustworthy, you take a deep breath and add, I have not been to many plays. The Giant and the Wolf and A Dragon Squeezes the Bellows are all I have seen. Those are children's plays, the brunette snorts. The redhead gives her a quick glare. You smile humbly. They were a joy to me at the time. The redhead smiles indulgently. As did I when I was a little girl. I particularly enjoyed A Dragon Squeezes the Bellows. Yes, you exclaim, then you laugh. As I remember, the dragon flew around accidentally poisoning the farmer's cattle by releasing... I'd forgotten, she interrupts, covering her suddenly crimson face with embarrassment. You chuckle. Oh, but the effects, she says between your fingers, her voice still as clear as a silver bell. Did they use real magic in your production? No, just wires and sulfur, you say, in sudden disappointment. You never considered that you hadn't ever seen A Dragon Squeezes the Bellows at its best. The brunette chimes in. We didn't mention that the outer ring of the city has a theater, the final song. The redhead removes her hand from her face and straightens her in her chair. Giving her companion a scowl, she says sharply, Of course we did not recommend it. Don't go anywhere in the outer ring unless you want to be robbed and beaten, especially in the evenings. Of course, says the brunette. I was just trying to think of all the theaters. There's also Highmark in the inner ring. The redhead frowns at her friend again. Never mind that one, she instructs you, but she seems disinclined to elaborate. Ruffians there, too, you ask? No, her cheeks redden again. It's only for... She's right, the brunette says. You're probably not their sort. Then you remember what the dwarves explained about the inner ring and realize she is belittling your social standing. It appears the redhead is the happy drunk and the brunette is the mean drunk. You could say something to that effect, or you could keep quiet. What do you do? Oh man, I don't think we should mouth off to people. Maybe we should just let it slide. Well, perhaps I should leave you both to your conversation, you say, motioning to leave. No, stay a moment, says the redhead, putting up her hand. I am Rohija, and this is Katrain, twirling one finger in her fiery red hair, she asks. And you are? They call me Dragon, you lie. Dragon, Rohija repeats with a faint smile. Well met. Well met, chimes in Katrain, half-heartedly. It was kind what you did for Emmeline, says Rohija. Who? The serving wench, Emmeline, says Rohija. Oh yes, of course, you reply. Her little boy went under the wheel of a carriage a fortnight ago, says Rohija. The coin will go to the healer, certainly, says Katrain. Look at us being nice and helping a little boy. By their dress and jewelry, you would estimate these women have plenty of coin of their own. You wonder how much they have given to Emmeline. You decide it would be unwise to ask. You wonder whether you might be able to lift a trinket or two from these well-bred young ladies. For their manner, you'd say they're conveniently dulled by drink. You scan the other patrons, and more importantly in the inn, no one is paying any mind at the moment. What do you do? Maybe... Let's not steal from them. We have 1 morale point increased by that. So good for us, being the good guy. Information is valuable too, you think. Not to mention some friendly conversation with a pair of commonly strangers would be a welcome diversion. Do you ladies mind if I sit for a moment and ask you about your fair city? You ask. Katrine motions to a chair. Sit, but not too close. We are married women, and no city is too large for gossip. And you are more handsome than most, says Rohijo, with a smile that makes your heart beat faster. You smile big and bow. Katrine gives Rohijo a hard look. Sorry. Turning a shade of red, Rohijo stares down at the table. There are words you say and words you keep. She mutters this to herself as if she's very familiar with the adornment. For her wine, she muddles them together. For Katrine, shaking her head, what do you do? I think this would be a good stopping point for this installment of the Choose Your Own Adventure reading. I'll leave you guys on a cliffhanger. So let me know if reading along with some stories is something you'd like to see some more of in the future. But otherwise, this has been That One ASMR Dude here with your nerdy tingliness for the day, and I hope you enjoyed as well.